Today in this video we're going to show you how to control some of your card profile and customer settings to make sure you've got things dialed in and you're getting the charges on cards that you're expecting, and how to change some of the settings on your customers. So we're logged into here to one of our test accounts. There's a couple things to remember. So first of all, you've got one of the new menus you're going to see now as of about mid-August 2021 is this customers menu. When you go here, this is where you're going to manage the settings for your customers. So this is going to be the same for your Xero, QuickBooks, and QuickBooks Desktop customers. If you've recently added a new customer to your accounting system and you don't see them in the list here, we can do a resync here, and this will refresh the data out of QuickBooks or Xero, and update our database. And you'll see them here now. We can, just like anywhere else in Benji Pays, we can do a search up here and it'll filter on the table. We can clear that search. So first of all, we can entirely disable the automated nightly processing for a customer. If you do this, then this helps clean up your daily reports. So you have customers that don't pay by credit card, they pay by check or EFT or some other manner. You might want to disable them so Benji Pay skips over them entirely and you don't even see them in your daily reports. So for instance, if I want to disable a test here, I'm going to hit select that one, and maybe I also want to disable this one. I'm going to click disable. It's going to tell me which ones I'm disabling. Just confirm, and now those are disabled here. Now I can re-enable them quite easily just doing the same thing. So those are re-enabled now. Another new feature here is going to be we now allow you to have multiple email addresses on your customers. So you can have multiple people at your customers that are receiving their receipts for payments. And we're also going to be synchronizing over email addresses from your accounting system. So in this example, you'll see that this one here, the first one, indicates that this is from your accounting system. You in QuickBooks Online will be able to pull over multiple email addresses. In Xero and QuickBooks Desktop, you're going to get your one core or main email address for each of your customers. You cannot edit these accounting customers, but if you update them in your accounting system, they will be brought over and updated in Benji Pays automatically. If you want to, you can add up to 5 total email addresses. And you can enable and disable each email individually. So if we have them all disabled, nobody's going to get a credit card payment receipt at the customer. If we enable this one, only this first email address will get the receipt. You can also store the phone number on here if you'd like to. And the next one is their delay days. So these used to be stored on each individual card profile, but now we've moved that to the customer settings. By default, you're going to have 0 delay days, but what the delay days do is they allow you to put in a number, either positive or negative, and that's either going to wait. If it's a positive number, we're going to wait that many days past the invoice's due date before Benji Pays automatically tries to process that payment if you have the nightly payment processing enabled. So for instance, if I put a 5 here, Benji Pays will wait 5 days past this customer's invoice due dates before processing their payments. If I put a -5 here, it's going to actually process the payments 5 days before the due date. So by default, this is 0, and this is what most people use, but this gives you a little bit of more granular control over each of your customers and when the payments are processed. This setting here, apply credit memos. If you've got your global apply credit memos setting turned on in your company settings, then if these are on a customer, if they have a credit memo in your accounting system that is open and unapplied, and they have an invoice that's due, Benji Pays will automatically apply that credit memo to the invoice and then only charge their credit card for the remaining balance of that invoice. And when they get their receipt, it'll be noted on the receipt that we also applied a credit memo to the invoice. So you can toggle this on and off for each individual customer. Again, it has to be on globally in your company settings for this to apply. But if it's on and this is on and there's a credit memo, it's going to get processed. And then here we can actually enable or disable their nightly processing. This is the same as what we showed before by checking the check boxes and clicking the enable or disable processing. So I'm just going to save that here. The other thing we can see here is you're going to get a summary of for each customer, so you can quickly see if their processing is enabled or disabled. And we can also click the payment profiles to get a filtered list of all the cards that are associated with that customer. So you can remember that each of your customers in your accounting system will have one entry in Benji Pays. For each of those customers, you can have one to many credit cards. You can have as many as you like, all with different priorities, so that Benji Pays will automatically try them in the order of their priority. You can enable and disable each individual card, whatever you need to do and whatever works for you. So find one here that has a few cards. So the other way is you can go to customer profiles and then customer payment profiles, and we can see all the payment profiles here. So we can see that A Test has a few cards. So they're all set to the same priority right now, which means Benji Pays will randomly choose one of them. Ideally, you would set each of these to have their own priority. So in this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So we would probably set priority 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Benji Pays will try the first one. If it's declined, it'll try the second one. And if it's declined, the third, and so on. We can also individually enable and disable these cards by clicking Edit and then unchecking the payment profile enabled for automated nightly processing. So if we uncheck that and update it, that card will be ignored and no longer used for the automated processing. It will still be available for your manual payment processing though. This is also where we can change the priority of the card. So we're going to change this one to 2. We're going to have that updated and we're going to click update. So this one we're going to change to 3. And we'll change this one to 4. And we're going to change this one to 5, and we're also going to disable that card. So now what would happen if when the nightly processing runs, we are actually going to get 1, 3, 4, 5. And 2. So this card here will get attempted first. If it doesn't go through, this card will get attempted. If it doesn't go through, then this one will get attempted, and then this one, and then that's where it'll end because the last card, which is priority 5, is disabled. So that's important so that you can come in and you can get granular on, like, if you have multiple cards with a customer and they want to temporarily ask you to not use one card and only use another, you can disable one or more and use the other one. Other than that, all your settings are going to be as before. So we're going to quickly look at your company settings here. So nothing has changed here. But what we'll see down below is the process credit memos. So this is what we were talking about before. This needs to be enabled for the individual customer settings for processing credit memos to take effect. A couple other new settings we've got here. We can choose whether you want to have when we apply the payment, an approved credit card transaction, when we apply that as a payment in your accounting system, we can use either the payment's reference number from the credit card payment from the transaction, or your invoice number as the reference to put in the reference field of that payment in your accounting system. We typically recommend you use the credit card transaction approval code. It allows you to find transactions in your accounting system easily. This next setting it allows you to actually create a string or a phrase that you would put into a certain spot in your invoice that tells Benji Pays to ignore the invoice. Now, currently this only works with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop, and you're either going to put this in the memo field in QuickBooks Desktop or in the message on statement field in QuickBooks Online. So if one of our invoices has this star NAP star, so no auto pay, in the appropriate field depending on our version of QuickBooks, Benji Pays will skip that invoice and will not process payments for it. So this allows you, if you've got a kind of a strange invoice where the customer wants to pay by check for this one or something like that, you can put this in the invoice, save it in your accounting system, and Benji Pays will ignore it. This setting here has to do with your emails being synchronized out of your accounting system. If this is turned on, those emails are going to be auto-enabled for receiving receipts when they are synchronized and imported in from your accounting system. If you don't want them auto-enabled, you're going to turn this off, and we will bring them in from your accounting system, but they won't automatically be getting receipts. By default, this setting is on. And most of you probably already know this, but you're going to also see enable sending receipts. So if you turn this off, no matter what, no matter if their emails are enabled or not, this will turn off sending receipts globally for all your customers. If this is on, you can also optionally attach the PDF out of QuickBooks Online or Xero. Only those two systems. QuickBooks Desktop, we cannot attach the PDF. So if you have receipts turned on and you turn on attach PDF QuickBooks invoice, they're also going to get a copy of their paid invoice with their credit card transaction. And then the nightly payment processing enabled. You can turn off your nightly payment processing globally. So this basically disables the nightly processing until you turn it back on. You can still process transactions manually, and you can still send out invoice payments and have them get paid by clicking on their links. But this will turn off your nightly payment processing. Many Benji Pays customers do not use the nightly processing on a regular basis. So if that's not something you want for your workflow, you can disable it and you don't have to use it. I'm going to save these settings. And that's about the new settings and managing customers and profiles in Benji Pays.